Hare Krishna. So let us get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurohu Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine O Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarvashastrabdhi Piyusha Sarvavedaika Satfala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadhya Sarvalokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidvanto Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume Madeka Bandho Mat Sangin Mad Guru Man Mahadhanaman Nistaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namostute Asadhu sadhuta dain atini chochata kahana muncha kada chinmam premnartha kanthayo spura Srimad Bhagavat Mahapurana ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you in today's session. We will continue our discussions on the prayers for creative energy from the ninth canto of from the third canto, ninth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So yesterday we began with this section. So these are 25 very popular prayers, very much commented everywhere by many of the acharyas. Prabhupada has given himself elaborate commentaries. So first 5 verses yesterday we saw. So would somebody like to tell what was said in verse 1 and how it is connected to verse 2? Just a quick recap. Would you like to share what was the gist of how did he begin, and then how it's connected to the next verse? Yes. Nasmantar Prabhu, you want to say?
Yes, I'll just try to read it. So yesterday we, from the previous chapter, after having the darshan of the Gurudakshaya Vishnu, Brahmaji started prayers, and
how?
Yes.
How did he begin?
Prabhuji, can I try?
Yeah, surely, Mataji. Yeah, sure.
Prabhuji, actually, Brahma actually prays for a creative impetus. And in shloka number 1, he actually says that the Supreme Lord is he's the knowable object. And after years of penance, he was able to actually know the Supreme Lord by the Lord's mercy himself only. And people who do not know, they are very actually unfortunate. that actually, the Supreme Lord is the all-knowable. And
Fine.
nothing is comparable to the Supreme Lord. And all the impure objects, they appear superior to the Lord because of the transformation of the material modes of Maya. And then in the second shloka, he says that he is the original form. His
Yeah, so
Rupam is
why does,
actually.
yes, thank you. Why does he say that? I mean, from first verse to second verse, how
He
it's
says
connected?
this because actually why we should surrender to the personal form of the Lord is actually the link from the second shloka to the third shloka. That
Is
why
that
should
so?
somebody.
Is it really that thing? Precisely what it is. See, why should we worship the personal form is explained in the later verse, Tadva idam bhuvana mangala.
Yeah.
That's where he talks. Yeah, but between 1 and 2, what is the link?
The Lord may say that to Brahmaji that, you are seeing my form, that may be also within the three modes because it is within this Brahmanda. And
Yes.
the actual thing is the Nirguna Brahman. And that's
Correct.
where then Brahmaji clarifies and says your Etad Rupam is actually the.
Yeah, what does he say in second verse? Yeah.
Second verse.
Avabodha Rasodhaya.
Avabodha Rasodayan. Perfect. Yes. So those words should stick to your mind. So yes, Mataji, you captured the right word. Avabodha Rasodayan. That was very important word from that second verse. Yes. So this form is not Gunatmak, but this is actually Avabodha Rasodayana Shashvat Nivrutta Tamasa. This form is Sachidanand. It is made up of your Chit Shakti. So that's why don't say that this form is Gunatmaka or this form is also recent Adyatana. That's how Vishwanath Chakravarti connected the words. No, this is a Shashvat. This is an eternal form which is also Sachidanand. Okay. Then from so in verse second, he described how this is a form made up of Chit Shakti. It is transcendental. How second verse and third are connected? Yes. Anyone else wants to say how verse 2 and 3 are connected?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Can I try or somebody else should try?
Yeah, till the time somebody else doesn't try, you go on trying. No problem.
Okay. So actually in verse 3 they are saying that actually Bhagwan is superior to the Brahma Jyoti and so they are actually speaking about the supreme personal form of the Lord where he says that Ananda Matram and it's without changes, Avikalpam, and it does not deteriorate also or deterioration of his potential.
Yes. So what is the purpose of that verse? To tell what?
Nirguna Brahma is not superior to Saguna.
Yeah, Nirgun Brahma. So that's correct. Nirgun Brahma is not superior to Saguna Brahma. Out of the two, which one is original or which one is superior? If Lord were to ask that question, then he explained, actually, Nirguna Brahma is not superior to this form. In fact, Nirguna Brahma is inferior to this form. Or rather, Nirguna Brahma is included within this form. So this form which is there, Nataha Param, Parama Yad Bhavatah Swarupam. Ataha Param, greater than this, there is no other form. This is the greatest form. Because this is a form which is Satchidananda Rupa. So even the impersonal Brahma, we see that is included within this form because it is effulgence like that. Yes. So that was the verse third. Okay, then third and fourth, how they are connected. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, so in third one, Brahmaji is telling that his form is non-different, means Lord's form is non-different than Brahmana, but he worship on only personal form. And in fourth one, he is telling the reasons why he only worshipping the personal form. How it is auspicious for 3 words, like Tad Vidam Bhuvana Mangala Mangalya, like that. Okay. So in fourth one, he is telling the reasons.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so there are worshippers of impersonal Brahma also, and there are worshippers of Satchidanand form also. Then why is that we should worship the Satchidanand form only? Why is that you are glorifying this Satchidanand form only? Because he says that this form is reciprocal. This form offers all the benedictions as the living entities desire. Mangalani, right from Dharmartha Kama Moksha to whatever, all the Purusharthas, Pancham Purushartha also. So your transcendental form can bestow that kind of benedictions. Brahma Jyoti, it is not reciprocal. Because so it is not reciprocal. But this form is where one can worship for Dharmartha Kama Moksha, and he will be bestowed those benedictions. Lord is so merciful. Besides, this was the form that manifested to help me in my meditation. Brahman didn't manifest. So, Kripalu Adhikyam api. And it shows the great merciful nature of Supreme Lord. Lord is reciprocal. That is how. He is not impersonal, like impersonal Brahma. So that's why I want to worship this particular form, and I am glorifying this particular form. So all the Purusharthas can be accomplished by worshipping this form. So a living entity should worship this form. Okay, then verse from 4 to 5, how they are connected. Yes, connection between 4 and 5.
Prabhuji, can I proceed?
Yeah.
So in fourth, it is given how devotees are meditating on a personal form, and how in fifth it is given how devotees are successful and dearer to Lord than the Jnanis.
But how 4 and 5 are connected? Yes, you told what is there in 5, but how 4 and 5 are connected?
In fourth, means devotees meditate on the personal form, while others who do not, means they are trying to meditate on an impersonal form or something like that. So those are not dearer to Lord.
Okay. What, anyone else wants to tell anything? Precisely what precisely is the connection?
Prabhuji, can I try?
Yeah, yes.
Prabhuji, when we said that in Shloka number 4 that the Lord's form is Bhuvana Mangala Mangalaya, so who all actually are taking shelter of this particular form, and what are they actually, what happiness are they deriving by worshipping this form? And the next shloka you divided into 2 parts actually. You said that in the second part you said that how actually the Lord is reciprocating with such people who are actually Shrutivada Nitam, and the Lord's lotus feet when they are Tvadiya Charanam Bhujam Kosham Gandham. So how the Lord's lotus feet are actually giving solace and shanti to their actually mind, and this is how you connected actually that's my understanding of how you connected.
Okay, I spoke one important point that none of you brought forth. That actually there is this 2 word is there, right? In that ye tu tvadiya. By that 2, Srila Jiva Goswami differentiates very clearly that you spoke about Lord bestowing Purusharthas on all the living entities, but the only Purushartha that is desired by your devotees is your lotus feet. That's how the verse is connected, 4th and 5th. But your devotees, as long as they are concerned, as far as they are concerned, what is their only worshipable object? Your lotus feet. Their only Purushartha is your lotus feet, nothing else. So that's how the verse 5th begins with that particular discussion. Yes, it is true that 5 and 6 both are talking about how the how the devotees are very dear to the Lord. Yes, that is agreed only. Yes, but then the exact connection is this in manner that all the Purusharthas could be bestowed, Dharmartha Kama Moksha, but as far as devotees are concerned, their only Purushartha is Prema for the Supreme Lord, the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. So that's how he glorifies. Okay. So this is how we saw the 5 verses. Now we proceed with the next verse. So, yeah. This is text 6. Tavad bhayam dravina deha surin nimittam shokah sprigha paribhavo vipulascha lobhah tavan mametya sadavagrah arti moolam Yavannatengrim abhayam pravranita lokah. Okay, please read the translation. Yes, anyone from your laptops?
Oh my Lord, the people of the world are embarrassed by all material anxieties. They are always afraid. They always try to protect their wealth, body, and friends. They are filled with lamentation and unlawful desires concerning their paraphernalia, and they are avariciously base their undertakings on the perishable conceptions of my and mine. As long as they do not take shelter of your lotus feet, they are full of such anxieties.
Yes. So this verse also is speaking about how the devotees are very dear to the Supreme Lord, much dearer than even the worshippers of impersonal Brahman. So actually there is some issue with the projector screen over there at the Brahmachari batch, which is also listening. So what I'll do is I am not sharing the screen with all of you, and instead I will speak, because when I'm sharing the screen, they are not able to see it. There is not great resolution or like that. So it's just no use, sharing the screen for them. So you please take a look at the purport. I will go purport paragraph by paragraph and try to explain. Actually, I wanted to share this document also, but then document means it's just Veda-based folio with highlighting the Tika sections. But then the color combination, that is not getting copied in the document. I don't know what is the issue. Only the text gets copied. The colors are not getting copied. So anyhow, I will explain only which paragraph is based on which particular commentary. So no problem. So this is verse 6. We are continuing. Now, if Brahmaji spoke about Lord's devotees being so much attached to Lord's lotus feet, right? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Lord may say, but your devotees also, they are also working in this world. They are the men of this world. They are the people of this world. They have wives, they have children, they are earning money, and they are working in this world with the worldly things, irrespective of which ashram they are in. But they are also involved in the things of this world. So how do you say that these devotees are very special? Are they not also samsari? Samsar mein hai na ye log bhi. These are the people who are also working like outsiders, working like the same way materialist work, and they are dealing with family and wealth and everything. So tepi samsarina eva, they are also samsaris only. They are also like materialistic people. Is it not like that? So you are talking so much about their great attachment and all that. How does that happen if they are also dealing with the pounds and shillings, as it's called? They are also dealing with the worldly things that way. So in my opinion, they are also samsarina. ननु तेपि स्त्री पुत्र द्रविणादि मंतः, वो भी तो स्त्री पुत्र द्रविण आदि इन सबको चीजों को लेके बैठे हुए हैं. So that's why samsarina eva, they are also actually like materialistic people only. They are also materialist. So if Lord were to raise such an objection, so then in answer to that he is saying this verse, that no, Lord, they are not samsaris like materialistic people. No. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, in fact, nahi. Brahmaji says, no, Lord, not like that. Swa rasana damsham aha. He says, swa rasana damsham means actually biting his tongue. He says, no. Like sometimes if we say something and then it is carrying some other sense, then we say, no, I didn't mean this, right? like that. So you bite the tongue to show that no, I don't mean that particular thing. So same way Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Brahmaji is saying Swa Rasana Damshamah, biting his tongue, he says, no, I don't mean that devotees are like materialistic people. No, they are actually so special. So how is that, although they have all these things, they are so much attached to your lotus feet? In answer to that, he is saying this particular thing. Or Srila Jiva Goswami says that if they are also engaged with all the wealth and family and everything, so there is so much of fear when you are engaged in these things, worldly things like all these material relationships or like that. So there is so much of fear factor is there. So how is that they are able to have such a great attachment to your lotus feet, which you spoke in the previous verse, right? They are jigranti karna vivaraihi, all that tvadiya charanambusha kosha gandham. And then such is their attachment that you also never want to leave their heart. You also are always situated in their heart. So how are they able to have such attachment if they are already in this, already surrounded by these worldly things? So in answer to that, he says this, actually, O Supreme Lord, Tavad bhayam dravina deha surin nimittam. Only see the fear of all these things like the great wealth or the body that one has, or the relatives. So fear that arises because of trying to secure these things, trying to protect these things, that fear will be only there till the time somebody doesn't accept your lotus feet as all in all. Yavan nate angri abhayam pravanita lokah. Till the time they don't accept your lotus feet as the supreme proprietor of their life, till that time this fear is there, he is saying. But the devotees have accepted your lotus feet as the supreme proprietor of their life. That's why they don't have this fear. So they are not samsaris. That is his point. जब तक भगवान के चरण कमल को स्वीकार नहीं करते तब तक भय ठीक है, लेकिन जिसने स्वीकार कर लिया उसको क्या है भय? So these devotees are like that because they have accepted your lotus feet, abhayam, which is the fearless shelter for everyone, because they have accepted pravranita, they have prakrishta rupena, they have accepted varan jo hua hai, acceptance, that is very, very special acceptance. They have not accepted just like some, what you can say, ritualistic worship. No, they have accepted your lotus feet as all in all, as the goal of their life, as the proprietor of their life. So that's why there is no fear of these things. So yavat tavat, like that the verse is spoken. Till the time somebody doesn't accept your lotus feet as all in all, till that time, then we will see that fear is there. But once somebody accepts your lotus feet, then there is fear. So that is yavat tavat. So only till the time somebody accepts your lotus feet, until that time we see that they might be having fear of losing all these things. Or shokah spriha paribhavo vipulascha lobha, or there is lamentation, there is spriha, very much intense desire for achieving the sense objects. Paribhavaha, it can mean paraphernalia, it can mean defeat also. Vipulascha lobha, and there is very great greed, and all these things are there till the time somebody accepts your lotus feet. But somebody who has accepted your lotus feet, he is not troubled by these things. Tavan mamaitya asadvagraha arti moolam. Similarly, accumulation of wealth, accumulation of resources, mama iti asad avagraha, accumulation of wealth or accumulation of all the resources, it is arati moolam, it is the cause of distress only till the time somebody accepts your lotus feet. Once somebody accepts that, then even if he is earning wealth, even if he is earning resources in this world, because he is accepting those resources only for your service, so that's why they are no longer arti moolam. So that is how the verse is speaking. Tavat, tavat, yavat, till the time. So all these things are only there for somebody who has not accepted your lotus feet. All this shoka and everything. But once somebody accepts these your lotus feet, then these things won't stay in his life. So that's how your devotees are not samsari. He says they are actually, although staying in samsara, they are outside of samsara. This way. So Prabhupada begins by saying, one may question how one can always think of the Lord in regard to, first para this is, one may question how one can always think of the Lord in regard to his name, fame, qualities, etc., if one is embarrassed by thoughts of family affairs. So this is based upon Srila Jiva Goswami. He said that, how that if somebody is engaged in this world, how can he have a great attraction and he can always think about Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc. That way. Because in this world we see there is a great fear when we want to, when we are surrounded by these things, surrounded by material resources. So there is fear for one's own body. There are diseases always, right? And diseases like corona, which give and create so much of fear. One is fearful. What will happen to me? Although there are whatever like medicines and all that, will they work? Will they not work? How our body will turn, next moment, we don't know. So there is fear, right? Similarly, there is fear about our dependents. What will happen to them if I am not able to take care of them, or if after me, what will happen to them? One may have that kind of fear. Will the money that I have be sufficient, or will it be finished? What if I lose all the money because of some reasons? What will happen to me? What will happen to my relatives? So in this world, we see that one who is engaged in this world has so many these thoughts which are predominantly there in his mind, and this creates a fear. So tavad bhayam, this fear is there, which is caused by dravina, deha, surid, and all that. And in order to alleviate this fear, he wants to always work hard, get more resources, maintain the status quo, like that. So in that case, how can one be able to remember Lord's lotus feet constantly? So that's why Brahma says here that actually these devotees accept your lotus feet as their protector, as all in all, as abhayam, as the fearless shelter. And that's how they are able to overcome all this fear. Right? So this fear is spoken at many places. And there is this famous verse by who's that? Bhartrihari. Bhartrihari also speaks in Vairagya Shataka. 9 kinds of fear, he says, right? Bhoge roga bhayam kule chuti bhayam vitte dripalad bhayam mane dainya bhayam bale ripu bhayam rupe jaraya bhayam shastre vadi bhayam gune khala bhayam kaye kritan vam vastu bhayan vitam bhuvendranam vairagyameva bhayam. Right? The famous verse is there. He talks about how there is fear of bhoge roga bhayam. Somebody who is a sense enjoyer, he has a fear of disease. Somebody comes from a great family, has a fear of loss of reputation. Somebody has great wealth, has a fear of tax. Nripalad bhayam has a fear of king. Those who are honored have the fear of being dishonored. Those who are very strong have the fear of one powerful enemy who can come and defeat them. One who is very beautiful has the fear of old age, will take away all the beauty, right? Shastre Vadi Bhayam, somebody is very learned in Shastra, he has the fear of some other Vadi. Somebody might be very learned and he may show that you are a fool, you don't know anything. I understand Shastras better than you. Shastre Vadi Bhayam. Gune Khala Bhayam, somebody who is very virtuous, he has the fear of somebody who will exploit him, who is wicked, who is cruel, and that cruel person may exploit him. Kaye kritantat bhayam. Similarly, for our body, we have the fear of death. I should not die. Sarvam vastu bhayanvitam. Actually, this is how in this world we see that the fear factor is extremely prominent. Prabhupada also says at one place in Bhagavatam that in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, he says that the fear, the defending aspect is most prominent in this world. If you see, the other factors are also surrounding that fear. Because we don't want to die, because we have fear of death, so we want to eat also, like that. So he says that fear is very prominent experience in this world, like that. So that kind of fear, when somebody takes the shelter of Supreme Lord, accepts his lotus feet as all in all, then that kind of fear is not there. So by accepting bhakti, we see that these devotees who accept one's Lord's lotus feet, bhaja hure mana Srinandanandan abhaya charana ravindare, right? So abhayam, once they accept, then this fear is not there. So that's why Prabhupada says, next line, next paragraph is based on Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary. A pure devotee of the Lord never thinks of himself as the proprietor of his home. Who is the proprietor then? Actually, the proprietor. So he may obviously take care of his family very nicely, take care of his whatever enterprise he is running very nicely. But he knows that Lord is the proprietor. I should do my effort in the best possible manner, and then Krishna will do his part. Krishna will offer whatever is best for me. This is no way sort of any irresponsible behavior. But point is, yes, actually, the source of our income is not the source of our maintenance. You must have heard this line, right? Source of our income is not the source of our maintenance. Krishna is our maintainer. We put our best efforts in terms of earning, whatever, trying to get the resources to meet our ends. But then finally, Krishna is the one who is protecting, and he's the one who is providing, like that. So that's why for these devotees, he says, Brahmaji says that they become fearless because they have accepted Lord's shelter, and thus they are able to, remember your lotus feet, have that asakti towards your lotus feet. Further, Brahmaji says, further in paragraph, Prabhupada says, just in this second para only, third line, because of this surrender, he no longer has any attraction for wealth. Even if there is some attraction for wealth, it is not for sense enjoyment, but for the service of the Lord. So even if sometimes devotees, they want to earn a huge money, or there is attraction for earning wealth, it is for the service of the Lord. It should be for the service of the Lord, right? That's what is the expectation. Like that. That is how a devotee should be. So he can dovetail his propensities in order that they can be used in the service of the Lord that way. And what to speak of a pure devotee, he is surely on that platform where, even though he may want the wealth of the world, it is purely for the sake of Krishna consciousness, right? Like Prabhupada, you know that when he saw that photo of Yogi trying to say no to money, he said that you take my photo with embracing the money. Why? Because yes, I want all the wealth of this world, but for whose sake? Not for his sake, for Lord's sake, for service of the Lord. So that's how this mama, this basically the wealth aspect is talking about tavan mametya asad avagraha, that aspect. This desire to earn the resources, collect lot of resources, that is considered asad avagraha. It is actually not a very proper undertaking. But if it is taken for Lord's sake, for service to Vaishnavas, service to devotees, then it is most wonderful. And then it is no problem at all, like that. Like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives example of, it is like Utkhat dramshta urag damsha, he says. Utkhat dramshta. जिस सांप से दांत जो है विषैले दांत उखाड़ दिए गए हो, उत्खात दंष्ट्र, उरग, उरग मीन्स सर्प, urag means snake. His damsha, his biting, will it cause any trouble? It will not cause much trouble, right? Even if a snake which bites, which with all his poisonous fangs removed, it will not be a trouble. So similarly, the desire to earn wealth and resources of this world, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is comparing it to, like it's like it's like the snake. But if the enjoying mentality is only removed, you want to achieve these resources for Lord's service, right? Even the family members, they are what? They are the Vaishnavas, and one may have the consciousness of taking care of these Vaishnavas by providing them resources. So then in that case, that enjoying mentality is gone. So that's why, although one is dealing with money, resources, it is like a snake which is without any poisonous fangs. So that's why narti mulatvam, that will not cause any arti, that will not cause any much distress. That is the point. So that's why Prabhupada also has taken that in his purport, this example of Vishwanath Chakravarti, where Prabhupada also says that it is like poisonous teeth of accumulation of wealth are extracted. So a devotee, he wants to accumulate all this wealth and resources for Krishna's service. And in that case, then it is perfectly justified and it will not cause a bondage. But of course, there is a word of caution when we do these things, right? I mean, see, it is like if one can handle a certain level of entanglement in money and resources and in people, one should only accept that much, isn't it? If one takes up handling resources which are much beyond his capacity to handle, then one may also fall, one may get entangled into it. So there should also be the word of caution that yes, yukta vairagya is there, but you should have some vairagya to demonstrate it also, isn't it? Then otherwise it will become bhukta instead of yukta, that way. So that's why one should also be careful. Whatever is needed, that much resources one can accept and use it straight in Krishna's service. Otherwise, there is always a possibility, at least for a sadhaka. Prabhupada is talking about pure devotee, right? So Prabhupada says a pure devotee, he may be attracted to accumulating wealth like ordinary man, but his is completely pure desire of Krishna consciousness. But for all of us, yeah, we are all aspiring to come to that platform. So for us, we have to also exercise that caution that we accept resources which we can handle. If we can't handle something, then it might very well bind us also, entangle us also, like that. So that is how Prabhupada says finally, a pure devotee is never entangled in material worldly affairs, even though he may remain in the world like an ordinary man. This way. So that is the point. A similar verse is there in even in 14th chapter, 14th chapter, Brahmaji's prayers in 10th canto. Tavad raga dayas tenas tavad karagraham graham tavan mohangri nigado yavad Krishna natejana. Till the time somebody doesn't accept Krishna as his master, or until people become Krishna's devotees, then we see that their graham remains karagraha. The home remains a prison house, and all the attachment remains like shackles, and all the attachment, aversion, they also act like thieves. They steal away the real pleasure of the jiva, the real happiness in the heart. So, till the time one becomes a devotee, all these factors are troublesome. But once one becomes a devotee, puts Krishna in the center, then Brahmaji says, there also Brahmaji is only praying actually. Yes, 10:14. Yes, there also Brahmaji is only saying the same thing, that till the time they don't become your devotees, their graha will remain karagraha. Moha will remain, affectionate feelings will remain like shackles. and their attachments will be like thieves that way. But once they become devotees, then it becomes into transcendental family affair this way. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur finally also says that 3 types of devotees have been described in last 2 verses. So he says that in this verse means 6th verse, Tavad Bhayam Dravena Deha. So he says the first 2 lines are describing devotees who are who have passed Anartha Nivrutti stage. In this verse, first 2 lines. Next 2 lines are describing who have not yet crossed Anartha Nivrutti stage. Like that he says. First one is Anartha Nivrutti Manta. Anartha Nivrutti Man, matlab those who have already possessed the stage of Anartha Nivrutti. They have gone beyond it. The last 2 lines he says they are yet to become free from Anartha Nivrutti. Because why? That Mama iti asadvagraha is there. They have still attachment to collect the resources of this world. They are using it in Krishna's service, so it is fine, but they have the attachment to collect the resources of this world. So that is he says, undesirable thing. It's not a completely pure desire yet. So that's how he is dividing these the various scales or grades of devotees. So first part is talking about those who are crossed. They have crossed Anartha Nivrutti. Second part is talking about those who haven't. And before this, the verse came, he said that is talking about Ratimanta and those who are pure devotees. Okay. So text 5 spoke about pure devotees. Text 6, first 2 lines, they speak about devotees who have crossed Anartha Nivrutti. And last 2 lines talk about those who have not crossed Anartha Nivrutti. Anivritta Anartha. That is how Vishwanath Chakravarti has divided these 3 devotees. But he says finally that none of them are samsaris. That you should accept. None of them are the ones who are materialistic, or they are going to rotate in the cycle of material, birth and death like others. No. None of them are samsaris. All of them will be bestowed mercy by Supreme Lord and taken back. So that is his point. So we shouldn't consider any of them as samsaris. Okay, we move on to the next verse, text 7. Daivena te hatadhiyo bhavata prasangat sarva shubhopa shamanad vimukhendriyaye kurvanti kama sukhalesha lavaya dina lobha vibhuta manaso kushalani shashvat. Translation.
O my Lord, the material miseries are without factual existence for the soul. Yet, O my Lord, persons who are bereft of all auspicious performance of chanting and hearing about your transcendental activities are certainly unfortunate, and are also bereft of good sense. They engage in inauspicious activities, enjoying sense gratification for a very little while.
Yes. So, after hearing this, all these devotees and glory of devotional service, if Lord were to accept, raise this objection or ask this thing, that, well, if this is the case, that none of the devotees are samsaris and bhakti is so wonderful, then why is that everybody, why is that we don't see anyone and everyone surrendering to the Supreme Lord? We see very rarely people surrender to his feet. Why is that everyone is not that intelligent and does not surrender to Lord's lotus feet? Who would be left in this world like that? Which are the people who don't accept then? Everybody should accept the process of bhakti, no? What is the problem like that? No, evam chet, if this is the thing, the glory of bhakti is so much, sarva eva sudhiya bhutva, सारे ही क्यों नहीं बुद्धिमान बन जाते फिर? मत शरणम आश्रयिष्यन्ते. Why is that they don't surrender unto my lotus feet? Why is that they don't surrender to my lotus feet? So he explains, Brahmaji explains, why is that some of the people, they don't surrender to your lotus feet? Because they are very unfortunate. Daivena te hatadhya bhavatah prasanga. These are actually because of their misfortune. What is that misfortune? We'll see that. Vishwanath comments on that. But he says those who are hatadhya, who are bereft of any intelligence, because of their misfortune, daivena, they become vimukha, they turn away from your lotus feet. Bhavatah prasangat, meaning from your association, from your topics, from your katha, vimukha indriya, they become vimukha. Their senses, their mind has turned away from your prasanga, from your katha. Like that he says, that although your katha is sarva shubha upashamana, although your katha, your prasanga takes away all the inauspiciousness, upashama means it destroys, curbs down all the inauspiciousness in one's life. But ye sab log daiva se, unke daiva ke karan hatadhiya, they are bereft of intelligence like that. And instead what they do? Kurvanti kama sukha lesha lavaya dina. They actually work for very petty, insignificant material pleasure. Kama sukha lesha lavaya. Lobha bhibhuta manasah akukshalani shashvat. Because they are marked by qualities of greed and lust, and their minds are defeated by that. So because of that, they just want to work for very petty, insignificant material pleasures. Akushalani, they engage into activities which are not for the benefit, which can mean kamya karma, materialistic activities in the Vedas, or it can mean nishiddha karma also, which can mean vikarma also, both the aspect. Akushalani can mean kamyani karmani va nishiddha karmani api. Nishiddha karma or kamya karma, which is sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas for karma kandi kind of benefits, like that. So that is the reason. So Prabhupada raises this in purport. The next question is why people are against such auspicious activities as chanting and hearing. That can bring total freedom from care and anxieties, right? So that sarva shubha upashama, that the only answer to this question is that they are unfortunate because of supernatural control due to their offensive activities performed simply for the sake of sense gratification. So this is the translation of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, in which he says that daivena actually means that because of aparadh, some prior aparadhas to you, it has bore its fruit. These people, they have engaged in such activities which have caused offenses to your lotus feet, and that's how they don't have any attraction for your lotus feet. That is the meaning of daiva that he gives. So Prabhupada is exactly translating that. Due to their prior offensive activities, which must have resulted in some cause of disrespect, some offense to the Supreme Lord. That is why these people are unfortunately not attracted. Otherwise, who can reject devotional service? That is his point. Who can say no to devotional service? It is so wonderful. But daivena hatadhiya, these people. That is the problem. So then, that is why the devotees, they take the compassion on such souls. He says, Prabhupada says, next line, fourth line in purport. The Lord's pure devotees, however, take compassion upon such unfortunate persons and in a missionary spirit try to persuade them to take to the line of devotional service. So this is why devotees, although these people are unfortunate, although they may have offenses, by their daiva, they have turned away from the Lord. And devotees take compassion. Devotees want to help them. Devotees are most merciful. So with a missionary spirit, they want to go and share Krishna consciousness, by which these people will also get some sukruti, by which in some life they will turn to serious bhakti, like that. So by devotees' missionary activities, we see that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also explains that how it creates sukruti for the people. And then once that sukruti is accumulated for sufficient amount, That's when one turns to the serious bhakti or uttama bhakti. Rup Goswami says that one is ready to accept the ideal standard of uttama bhakti. So all different devotees, compassion in terms of they get Kruti gathers, and then one comes to the devotional service to commit, committed way. I'm saying, like, he accepts the standard of Uttama Bhakti in this way. So only by the grace of pure devotees can Prabhupada says, can such unfortunate men be elevated. So he's highlighting that aspect of devotees' compassion and mercy. Okay, one more verse we'll take because it is in the same theme. Text 8. Kshutra tridhatu bhirima muhuraryamana rashaya ritare tarascha कामाग्निनाच्युतरुषा च सुदुर्भरेण संपश्यतो मनः उरुक्रम सीदते मे. Yes, Prabhu. Please read.
O great actor, my lord, all these poor creatures are constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, severe cold, secretion and bile, attacked by coughing, winter, blasting summer, rains and many other disturbing elements, and overwhelmed by strong sex urges and indefatigable anger. I take pity on them, and I am very much aggrieved for them.
Yes. So he laments for them. These people who have in this way, because of their unfortunate situation, whatever their own activities, because of their own activities. So these people, they are like animals. They, this Brahma, that seeing them, their suffering, mama, me mana, my mind, he Urukrama, O Supreme Lord, see that it feels great distress actually. People like Brahmaji, people like Prabhupada says that coming in Sampradaya of Brahmaji, I mean Vaishnavas, they feel great compassion, right? So Prabhupada has already, which is actually coming in text 8, but Prabhupada in the prior purport, in the 7th purport only you saw that. Although the verse is not exclusively talking about any, verse 7 was not talking about the compassionate aspect, but Prabhupada brought it up. Why? Because the next verse is talking about, like that. That seeing these living entities, Brahmaji says, me mana sidate, actually my mind feels so much of distress, and that's why they want to preach. That's why they want to give the instructions like that. So how are they suffering? They are suffering because of kshutra tridhatubhi, because of hunger and thirst and kaphavata pitta, bodily problems because of that. Then seasonal problems, shitoshna vata varashay, itaret tarach, also because of adi bhautik kleshas. See, basically it's talking about all three kleshas. Shitoshna vata varashay is talking about adi daivik kleshas. Itaret tarach is talking about adi bhautik kleshas. Relationship issues, problem with one's mind and senses, and also problem with seasons, problems with factors beyond us. So these people are ardhyamana, they are distressed because of all these factors. This way. Kamagnina chuta rushachad sudurbharena. And, these whips like kama, whips meaning all these desires, lust, or rusha, or the anger, and these are also torturing them constantly by dictating them to fulfill their demands, like that. Kamadinam katina katidha palita durnidesha tesham jata mai na trupa na karuna no pata shanti. That such a beautiful prayer is there in Padyavali, right? He prays that, says that, yes, a devotee says that I have so many lives, I have just followed dictation of this kama and krodha and lobha and all this. And although I did that, these things are never satisfied. I am whipped again and again by these bad masters, durnidesha. So now utsrijya etan athayadupate. Hey Krishna, now I have got intelligence. I have come to your lotus feet. Now I no longer want to follow the dictations of this, like that. So, Tvamayatah abhayam mam nyungshva atmadasya. Please, you engage me. आप मुझे आपके दास्य में नियुक्त कर दो, हे भगवान. I did lot of service of these bad masters, Kam, Krodh, and all that. But now I want to accept you as master. So like that, Kamagnina Chuta Rusha. So these people who are devoid of Krishna consciousness, they are constantly whipped by this Kama and Krodha and disturbed by these Trivid Kleshas. Seeing them, Brahmaji says, my mind is so much undergoes distress. I take pity on them. I am very much aggrieved for them. Prabhupada says that in his purport, like that. So Brahmaji's lamentation is being spoken for these personalities over here, like that. So that's why the pure devotees or the devotees coming in disciplic succession, the preachers, they want to always allay the misery of all these living entities, right? Prabhupada says that a pure devotee of the Lord like Brahma and persons in his disciplic succession are always unhappy to see the perplexities of conditioned souls. And that's why they want to preach the message of Krishna consciousness, like that. Sometimes even some so-called people who want to offer some solution to these miseries, but they are not able to offer real solution. Prabhupada also addresses that aspect. This is the third line in purport. Not knowing adequate measures for relieving such difficulties, suffering persons sometimes pose themselves as leaders of the people. And the unfortunate followers are put into further disadvantages under so-called leadership. Right? So there is so much of misery in the material world. And then there are these people, so-called leaders, who want to offer some temporary solution or not actual solution, right? So there are so many pseudo-spiritual leaders or so-called just some material solution they want to give, just no tangible solution, just some sort of positive thinking or some sort of stuff like that, without any substantial benefit, just feel good stuff, feel good, self-help and all that kind of stuff like that. So we see that suffering persons sometimes pose themselves as leaders of the people, like that. But if it is devoid of, if it has no connection to Lord service and all, then it will not be a real solution. This is like a blind man leading another blind man to fall into it, that way. So, right? Even in the 6th canto, Indra prays like that when the offense to Brahaspati happens. He says that Tesham kupatra drishtrinam patatam tamasihi adha ye shraddhadur vachaste vai majjanti ashma plavaiva. He says that those leaders who don't understand how to really put end to the suffering of people are like those who are inviting others to board on a stone boat. Majjanti ashma plavaiva. तो स्टोन बोट लेके घूम रहे किसमें, सागर में, और लोगों को बोल रहे आ जाओ हमारी बोट पे आ जाओ. So stone boat, if somebody boards a stone boat, what will happen? Along with their leader, everybody will travel very fast, but in the vertical direction, not in the horizontal direction. So they will go in the bottom of the ocean. That's how. So it is like in the same section of Vritrasur, again demigods also pray avismitam tam paripurna kamam svenaiva labhena samam prashantam vinopasarpatya param hibalisha shvalangulena atitirti sindhum. It is like catching a dog's tail and trying to cross the ocean. So all these so-called materialistic people of the world who are trying to offer some solution, when they don't know the solution, it is like catching a dog's tail. They themselves are not able to benefit themselves. So what they can help others? Dog, he himself cannot cross the ocean. What he can take others? So that's why the devotees, Brahmaji or devotees in his line, they want to take up the pity and preach the message of Godhead. That is the point of these verses. Okay, so you can take a break now for 7 minutes, and then I'll take some questions and then proceed with the discussion. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, is there anything that you want to ask on this verses we discussed? There are some questions in the chat box saying, what is the connection between verse 7 and 8? Well, I told this. Verse 7 is, he is telling, why is that everyone doesn't become a devotee? Who are the ones who are samsaris? Who are the ones who don't accept Lord's lotus feet? Daivena hatadhiya. They are the ones. And Brahmaji laments for those people, which is spoken in the text 8. So text 7 is their fallen condition, and text 8, Brahmaji says, I literally lament for these people. These are like animals, and they are just ignorant of any truth about Krishna consciousness. Tantu shochami eva. They don't understand their own benefits. So I really lament for them. So that is how he is connecting. Meaning 7th verse is talking about their fallen condition, and Brahma continues to lament for them in the verse 8. That is how the connection is there. Yeah. Yes. That is how. I think Narasimha Prabhu had answered that already. Yeah, Brahmaji's lamentation. Okay, you have anything to ask on these verses? Anyone?
Hello.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, Brahmaji is using a word urukrama.
Urukrama. Yeah.
Anything so specific why he is addressing Lord like that?
Yeah, I saw that Urukrama. Nothing is commented by acharyas at least. Like I was seeing in the commentary. So Urukrama, Lord Urukrama basically means one who does amazing activities, right? One who does great activities like that. Hey Urukrama, that's all is written. Nothing else is written. So by that particular Sambodhan, if he wants to bring a particular meaning, at least in this verse, nobody has commented that. So that's why I didn't say anything on that. Okay. But in general, Urukrama means Lord who does amazing feats, one who does amazing activities. Like Vamana is known as Urukrama or Trivikrama because his activities are he expanded the great size. But in general also Urukrama means one who is able to do amazing feats, and that is the Lord. So Urukrama, hey Urukrama, that is the Sambodhan Padam over here. But none of the acharyas have commented. So if a particular sense is to be brought, we have to see it from acharyas. So if they haven't, then I won't comment on it also. Okay. Anyone else has anything to ask? Otherwise, we proceed then. Okay, so we proceed. Text 9. So now he continues. Text 9 is Yavad prithaktvam indriyartha maya balam bhagavato jana isha pashyet tavanna samsriti raso pratisankrameta vyarthapi dukkha nivaham vahati kriyartha. Translation.
O my Lord, the material miseries are without factual existence for the soul. Yet, as long as the conditioned soul sees the body as meant for sense enjoyment, he cannot get out of the entanglement of material miseries, being influenced by your external energy.
Yes. So he spoke about these people who are Daivena Hatadhiya, these materialistic people who don't have any interest in Krishna consciousness, and how seeing their suffering, Shrutrad, all that hunger, thirst, and Adibhautik, Adidaivik kleshas, and all that, I lament so much. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, if Lord were to raise this objection, saying that, well, why do you lament Brahma? Because samsritehe aparamarthatvat, or rather samsritehe avastubhutatvat. Why do you lament for their material existence? Because anyway material existence is insubstantial. It is samsriti or the repetition of life and birth and death, wandering in the material world, it is insubstantial. It is avastu, vastu bhut to nahi. Sort of you can say mithya, that way. So for the soul, the spirit soul, he has nothing to do with the material world, right? He is completely detached from the material world. So this whole experience of going through material miseries and all that is superfluous to the spirit soul. That's called as avastu bhutatva. So that's why do you lament so much? Anyway, it is like soul has nothing to do with it. Prabhupada is also translating like that. It has no factual existence. So that is actually the aspect of vastu bhutatva, avastu bhutatva, mithyatva, like that. So this mithya aspect is not like Mayavadis. Don't feel that Lord is saying like, oh, samsriti is mithya, meaning whole this material world and traveling in the material world in different species by jiva is unreal, like how Mayavadis say, right? Brahma satyam jagan mithya. No, that's not the point. The point is that the spirit soul is actually completely detached from this body and mind and senses, everything. It has no connection, right? So from that angle he is speaking. So it is like somebody who is in the sleep and he is suffering because the tiger is chasing him. So but actually tiger is not chasing, So somebody can say, well, what is the problem? No, actually tiger is not chasing, Why you are making such a big fuss? Come on, but as long as the tiger is chasing him, you see that he is suffering, no? So that is the point. Although there is no tiger chasing, agreed. But because of his identification, because in the dream he's seeing like that, you see that he is suffering. As soon as he wakes up, there would be no longer any suffering. There would not be any tiger chasing. He would realize that there is no tiger chasing. And I was unnecessarily, fearful because there was no tiger only, like that. So same way he's talking about that samsritihi ahetu avastu bhutatvad. That this is actually, this samsriti, this repetition of birth and death is insubstantial. But actually, point is this only. For a Mayavadi, they say it is completely insubstantial, it is completely mithya, nothing to do with it. It doesn't exist only. But Vaishnavas also agree it is avastu, it is aparam arth, or it is sort of mithya. We don't say exactly mithya, but we say that as long as the person is there in that dream-like situation, he is suffering, and that is a real suffering. You really see that person, he is sweating, he is fuming, whatever. So that's why we don't say that the suffering in this world is mithya. No. And then that would turn us into also somewhat like Mayavadi, where he says the rope is there and the snake is there, but actual real perception will show that there is no snake only. There is only rope, that way. So the point here is that if Lord were to say that, but anyway, samsriti, anyway, this repetition of birth and death is insubstantial. So why should we worry so much? Like that? No, but as long as that is there, we see that the jiva is suffering, no? So that's what he is saying. Brahmaji is saying that. Yavad prithakvam idam atmana indriyartha. As long as janah pashet, as long as the person sees, what does he see? He sees prithakvam. He sees him separate. He sees him separate. That he sees that separation, separateness, prithakvam, from Bhagavataha. He sees himself different from Lord. So he sees that he is actually a body, or he considers himself, he remains in that bodily conception. That is prithaktamam. If he considers himself as a supreme soul, not supreme soul, as a spirit soul, then that is not called prithaktam. But this prithaktam means dehadi bhavam, that he considers himself as body. So atmanaha prithakvam yavat pashed, जब तक वो खुद का अलगाव जो है, this being different from Lord, as long as he sees himself in that way, in that dehadi bhava, meaning in that bodily conception, there is indriyartha maya balam. Indriyartha maya balam is a adjective for prathaktvam. What does it mean? Means actually that bodily conception is full of sense objects given by Maya. It is Maya has produced so many sense objects that one continues to look at these sense objects and think that he can enjoy these sense objects through his body and mind and senses. So that is Indriyartha Maya Balam. So as long as one sees that Prathaktvam, he sees him separate from Supreme Lord. Tavat, till that time, na samsriti asto prati sankramet. This samsriti, this repetition of birth and death will not stop. It will continue. Na prati sankramet. Iska sankram jari rahega. He will continue to be infected by it. So only it will stop when he stops seeing him as separate from the Supreme Lord, meaning that bodily conception goes away. He sees him. That's why it is important. Although you say samsriti is insubstantial, but my Lord, as long as samsriti is there, we see that this person is going to suffer. Vyarthapi dukkha nivaham vahati kriyartha. So although samsriti is insubstantial, it is worthless, vyartha. Samsriti has the adjective vyartha, like that. See, sometimes these technical verses, if you understand the words nicely, then it makes sense. Otherwise, no, all that will remain Greek and Latin, for us. That's why I'm just trying to tell which word is referring to whom and all. That is the purpose, basically, like that. So, till that time, that samsriti, that repetition of birth and death, vyartha, although it is worthless, agreed, although it is insubstantial, dukkha nivaham vahati kriyartha. It will generate misery for him. Dukkha ka samuha leke chal rahi hai wo samsriti uske liye. So as long as he is there in that dream, he is suffering, surely. So that's why vyarthapi dukkha nivaham vahati kriyartha. His activities in this world, they are going to produce some misery. Kriyartha, dukkha nivaham, meaning this is a world of action and reaction, and it will produce misery like that. So that's why although the repetition of birth and death, samsriti, is superfluous to the soul, my Lord, it is dukkha nivaham vahati. It creates the misery. That's why one has to lament for them, and one has to take the remedial measures to reach the message of Krishna consciousness. One can't just say, see, this is exactly smashing the idea of Mayavadis actually, where they say that there is no bondage only. Absolutely, they say like that. As far as bondage is concerned, they say that is the vision of ignorant. Actually, if you say there is no bondage only, and that's why there is no need of any effort for liberation also. Actually, there is only Brahman that exists, nothing else exists. This way, like that they say, there is no individuality and all that. Anyway, that is bogus idea. We know that, so many refutations are there, right? If there is only Brahman existing, then who is experiencing misery? Is Brahman experiencing misery? Like that. So it's a very troublesome kind of philosophy where you have so much logical fallacies. But anyhow, point here is that samsriti, even though it is insubstantial, till the time Jiva is there in the bondage, we see that he suffers terribly. And that's how the devotees like Brahmaji and their representatives take compassion on them. This is the point. So, Prabhupada begins by saying, the whole trouble of the living entity is in material existence is that he has an independent conception of life. So this is based upon Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary. Jiva Goswami says that actually the whole cause of samsriti, the whole cause of trouble is where Jiva feels himself as independent. Swatantra abhimane naiva jivanam bhayam syat bandhanam syat. He says, Swatantra ka abhiman hai unko. Means they think that they are independent. They don't need anybody. They are not dependent on Supreme Lord. So as long as that conception is there, the living entity will be on its own, and living entity will have to suffer in this world like that. Although it is amazing that although one is whipped by the material nature, one feels that he is independent, isn't it? One feels that who I am independent. Who is stopping me from doing anything? But actually, mind and senses are whipping him continuously. Maya is whipping him. Prabhupada addresses these points at many places, right? You know that that way. So Prabhupada says in the purport, third line. So his constitutional position is to dovetail himself with the desire of supreme will. But as long as he does not do so, he is sure to drag on in the shackles of material bondage. So that's why one has to dovetail in the service of the Supreme Lord. Then only one will be able to come out of those shackles like that. There is a beautiful verse in 11th Canto where it is said, Yavad syad guna vaishamyam tavan nanatvam atmana nanatvam atmano yavat paratantriam tadevahi. See, as long as we see guna vaishamyam, means we see the different sense objects of this world, and you feel, oh, this is desirable, this is not desirable, and this is wonderful, that is not wonderful. In terms of their material outlook, guna vaishamyam. Till that time, we will continue to take different bodies to enjoy those sense objects. And then we will stay in that paratantriya. We will stay dependent on the laws of material nature. Meaning whatever we are perceiving mentally, it will turn into gross. And that is called incarceration. That is called getting entangled, even grossly in the material bodies. So in human form of life, one is given that consciousness by which he can perceive things in a proper perspective. But then if he uses that in being attached to certain sense objects and being madly running for it for sense gratification, then he would get that kind of body, and that would make lose whatever independence he had also. Paratantra. Our subtle thoughts turn into our gross bodies, and that's how we see that the entanglement continues. So that's why one has to work here in terms of the consciousness. If one's consciousness is appropriate, then the gross aspect of taking up different bodies also will go away. That paratantriya, that being caught up in the material world with material bodies, that will go away. This is the point. So point here is that this is how we see that one has to get out of this shackles of material bondage by dovetailing himself with the supreme will. Prabhupada uses that word many times, dovetail. See, dovetail, it has a specific meaning. Sometimes it's interesting to take Prabhupada's words, the usage of English. He has amazing usage of English, So I also sometimes, a little bit try to analyze why he uses a particular phrase in English. He's quite expert in English. British phrases he uses in a very appropriate sense of Krishna conscious philosophy, like that. That kind of insight is there in Prabhupada. So dovetail, if you see, there is a dovetail joint, right? Carpenters have that dovetail joint. There are slots. There is pin and tail, and then those two slots very nicely fit in each other, like this. That is called a dovetail joint, because it resembles, that shape resembles like tail of a dove, and that's how dovetail. So dovetail is where those parts, they very nicely interlock, fit like this. So Prabhupada uses that term very often. So Lord's desire is there, we should just dovetail it. Dovetail our desires with him, meaning we should fit in that. We should interlock ourselves with Lord's desires, that, and it becomes a fixed joint, fit joint, like that. So that is the meaning of the term dovetail, that way. So we have to dovetail. Prabhupada says that. So the living entity has to dovetail himself with the supreme will. That will help him to get out of the entanglement of material existence. Yes. So we proceed. Text 10. Anya pratartakarana shinishayana nana manoratha dhiya kshana bhagna nidraha daiva hatartha rachana rashayopi deva yushmat prasanga vimukha iha samsaranti. Yes, please read translation.
Such non-devotees engage their senses in very troublesome and extensive work, and they suffer insomnia at night because their intelligence constantly breaks their sleep with various mental speculations. They are frustrated in all their various plans by supernatural power. Even great sages, if they are against your transcendental topics, must rotate in this material world.
Yes. So fine, you said Samskriti is there because of this avidya, jnana. So yes, we agree that this Samskriti is there, repeated life and birth and death is there for those who are not intelligent, avivekis. But those who are vivekis, those who are jnanis, for them what is the need of bhakti? Viveki, the jnani people, they are mukta only, no? They are like liberated. If they are knowledgeable, do they need also bhakti? Bhavatu eva avivekinam. Fine, agreed. Sridhar Swami says this. Okay. Avivekinam, those who are not very intelligent, those who are fools, okay, for them agreed that they have this samsriti, they undergo repeated life and birth and death. But vivekinas to mukta eva. But those who are vivekis, those who have knowledge of Vedanta and all these people, they are muktas, no? What is their problem? Kim tesham bhaktya krityam? उन लोगों को क्या करना है भक्ति से? Why should they perform bhakti? Do they need to perform bhakti? Like that. और विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर says, अज्ञान कल्पिताया संस्कृतेः ज्ञानेनैव उपराम. So, or is it that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, you spoke about that samskriti. So, yes, it is caused by ajnana. So, if we just follow the path of jnana, this path of jnana meaning nirvishesh jnana. Now, he is saying, what if somebody is just a jnani? So, comparison between jnani and bhakta is coming up in these verses now, like that. So, fine, avivekis, fools are understood that they are suffering in the world. But jnanis, what do you think? Jnani, should they have to perform bhakti also? Why should they have to? They should perform bhakti. Like that. So the answer to that, he is saying that jnanina api bhakti rahita samsaranti. Even jnanis, if they are devoid of bhakti, if they disrespect the Lord, they don't have any regard for the Lord, even they will have to join repeated birth and death. That is the point. So even jnanis have to have some amount of bhakti. Otherwise, they can't, succeed in their own path also, right? So before he said that, right? Yo anadrito narak bhagdhi, and that was what, verse 4th. Yava idam bhuvana mangala mangala, right? So narak bhagdhi, those who disrespect the Lord, they are narak bhagdhi. They are the residents of hell, pilgrims of hell. So that is referring to those who disrespect the Lord, obviously, not to those who may follow the path of Brahmavad, but they don't disrespect the Lord. That is a clear understanding. It is not referring to Brahmavadis. It's referring to Mayavadis, who typically disrespect the Lord, saying that Lord is made up of matter, material substance, that way. Prabhupada ji usually doesn't differentiate between two. He just puts them all in one category, impersonalists, like that. But impersonalists who are on the path of impersonalism without being offensive to the Lord, is very clear that they succeed in their path and they are able to achieve their goal of merging in Brahman, like that. So that is agreed. Very Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also very clearly says that in many of his purports, that point. But those who are offensive to the Lord, and those who think Lord's form is Maya, Brahmavadis, what is their idea about Lord? They think that Lord is also Sachidananda, surely, but they are attracted particularly to the their own object of worship, which is Brahman. But they will not say that Lord's form is Asatachit Nirananda Maya. like that. They just have no experience of that, and even if they have the knowledge, they don't disrespect the Lord. Okay, so such people who disrespect the Lord, they are narak bhag bhi. So even if they are jnanis, actually, they will have to enter into repeated birth and death. Even if such people are jnanis, their jnana also will be finished. Yenne ravindaksha vimuktamaninaha. It's an elaborate commentary on that by Jeev Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. And they give a very great analysis of things and say that jnanis, even from Jivan Mukti Dasha, in this life, he may achieve himself at a platform of Jivan Mukti, where he is free from all the attachments now. Only his body is there remaining. And once that body is quit, he will become person which is liberated now. Videha Mukta. That's called as Videha Mukta. While somebody is liberated within the body is called as Jivan Mukta. So he says that even a Jivan Mukta platform, if he has disrespect for Lord, if he thinks that Lord is mundane, he will fall from that position also. Jivan Mukti Dashamapi Arohya Tataha Adha Patanti. He says that like that. So that is the point. So even these jnanis, they also can't be disrespectful towards the Lord. They may have their own object of worship in terms of Brahman. And in Sadhyakal, Sadhya and Sadhan is there, right? So Sadhan, in Sadhan Bhakti, even jnanis have some aspects of Bhakti that they have to have. They follow those aspects of Bhakti, at least in Sadhan Kal. And in Sadhyakal, they just want to worship the Brahman because, they are attached to Brahman. But if they have this idea that I am giving up worship of Supreme Lord because it is Asat Achit Nirananda, because this form is made up of Maya, so then such people fall from their position also. That's the point. That's the point which is spoken in this particular verse. So that's why Prabhupada is also quoting Yenne Ravindaksha and all this. This verse is also greatly analyzed by Srila Jeev Goswami in his Bhakti Sandarbha, very famous analysis that he has done. So, what the verse says is, Anya Pratartha Karana Nishinishayana. Actually, there are these people who are non-devotees, or which can even refer to Rishayopi, even Jnanis, that Anya Pratartha Karana, meaning their senses, during daytime, they are engaged in many troublesome duties, and that's why their senses are suffering, and their mind is agitated by many different kinds of suffering. So if they are working in the world, or if they are, even getting into that all analysis, tarka, and all that. So anya pratartha karana, their mind and senses are troubled in the activities in the daytime, and nishinish shayana, and in the night they don't feel any, they don't get any sleep. They feel insomnia because of what? Nana manoratha dhiya kshana bhagna nidra. Because of so many different ideas, conceptions, they are constantly, hovering in their mind, and their sleep is constantly disturbed. So this can refer to both categories. Please note, non-devotees also. Yushmat prasanga vimukha. See, those who have turned away from your lotus feet, those who don't have any regard for your lotus feet, can be referring to non-devotees also, and Rishaya also, meaning Jnanis also. So both the aspects are covered in this verse. And Prabhupada is also, that's why, putting this explanation in his purport. First para, he talks about this verse talking about non-devotees, and the next para onwards, he talks about Jnanis being included in this also. So this verse can be seen like similar verses like, what is that? Nidra Charthe Haya Rajan. Such verses. Nidra Charthe Haya Rajan. Kutumba Bharane Nava. All like that. Such verses. So in that case, it is only talked about non-devotees, right? Like that. Nidraya Riyate Naktam Divacha Nidraya Riyate Naktam Vyavayena Chavavaya. Divacharthe Haya Rajan Kutumba Bharane Nava. So similarly, Anyartha Pratartha Karana Nishinishayana. Nana Manoratha Dhiya Shana Bhagnadin. Daiva Hatartha Rachna. And there are many plans of whatever, there are plans of material sense enjoyment, if it is referring to non-devotees, or their other plans, they are getting smashed by Daiva, they are getting frustrated like that. That's the case with Yushmat Prasanga Vimukha Iha Samsaranti. Those who have turned away from your lotus feet, this is how they rotate in the material world. They undergo the cycle of material life and death, birth and death. So that is the point of this verse. So you see, Prabhupada has written a long purport. I'll just give the themes of the purport. In first para, what Prabhupada does is he applies this verse to the non-devotees. That how they are in daytime working in hard physical labor, nighttime they are engaged in some sense enjoyment or taking some wine and all that. So in this way they are suffering actually. Prabhupada says factory is another name for hell. Like sometimes in terrible factories one has to work and all that. So fine, they are doing that for earning money, earning their living. But point is, yeah, that kind of enterprise itself Prabhupada is condemning. It's a ugra karma, isn't it? Very terrible, hellish kind of industrial enterprise are there in which people have to work terrible, hard physical labor. Literally, they also become like machines without any sense of what's happening in their life that way. So if they are not having any regard for the Supreme Lord, they have turned away from the Supreme Lord. So naturally they are whipped by material nature, by their mind and senses. And this is how then we see that these people suffer in the day, suffer also in the night, like that. Prabhupada says sometimes they suffer from somnia and sometimes they feel sleepy in the morning for lack of sufficient rest. Right? Sometimes devotees also feel sleepy because of lack of sufficient rest. Yes, but here it's being talked about for non-devotees, like that. So, point is that even if somebody is a great scientist or thinker, Prabhupada says, if he is turned away from the Supreme, in the hand of material nature, and then he will suffer the frustration. He will rot in the material world, Prabhupada is saying, strong words. Sometimes there are great scientists making great discoveries in atomic energy and they may receive great prizes also. But then they may die pathetic deaths in some air crash or in some other ways. And then they may also continue to rotate in cycle of birth and death, all that. So that is non-devotees who are Yushmat Prasanga Vimukha. Then second paragraph onwards he talks also about sages. Jnanis also being like that. If they don't have regard for Lord's lotus feet, then they also undergo material existence. They are not able to come out of the repeated cycle of birth and death. No, these people like that. So Prabhupada says, this second para, you see, this verse particularly mentions that even sages who are averse to principles of devotional service to the Lord are also condemned to undergo the terms of material existence. Right? So that is the point of this verse, that even sages, jnanina hapi samsaranti, if they are devoid of bhakti towards the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada takes this, all this practically entire commentary based on Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary. So he's quoting Yene Ravindaksha, you see in the next para. Yene Ravindaksha Vimukta Manina. Although they think themselves as Vimukta, they think themselves as they have liberated. Actually, in fact, this section is coming from 10th Canto, 2nd chapter. It's a classic prayer, Garbhastuti, by all the demigods. And a very classic section is there on this Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, Jiva Goswami's commentary. He says it is very interesting that the devotees, although they are liberated, they think themselves that they are trapped in the material world. They're, Amara Jivana Sada Paperata, somebody of the caliber of Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying like that. And here are these people who are not Vimuktas, but they Vimukta Manina. So he is contrasting these so-called Jnanis and Bhaktas. He says Bhaktas, even though their contamination has gone away. They have become pure devotees. Still that feeling is there that I still have some material desires left. That's why he says even that water contained in a calf's footprint is said. By taking the shelter of Lord's lotus feet, why it is not said that the ocean dries up completely, but rather it is said that it turns into a water content in a calf's footprint. Means some water is there, right? Some water is there. Why it was not said that some water is there means what? Some material desires are there. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes a very interesting comment. He says that, see, this is the nature of devotees. Although they have become pure devotees, they feel like, oh, I still have that water of material world. Maybe whatever content in a calf's footprint, but that water means I am still not pure. I am still to get purified. I still have contamination. Like that, like how our great Acharya has also prayed. And on the opposite side, he says, contrast is exactly these people, Vimuktamanina. Although they are not Vimuktas, although they are not liberated, they think that they are liberated, Vimuktamaninas. Avishuddha Buddhaya. So that is their impure intelligence. Because they are Anadrit Yushmadangraya, because they don't have high regard for Supreme Lord's lotus feet, they disrespected, they consider those lotus feet as mundane. So even if they achieve the Param Padam, even if they achieve Jivan Mukta Dasha, from there they fall down. Adah Patanti. Like that. From there they fall down. So this is clearly those which have the disrespectful attitude towards Krishna, towards his form. Obviously not the ones who don't have. Srila Jiva Goswami analyzes this verse very nicely. He says that, see, this verse is not talking about those yogis who in their sadhan kal, sadhan dasha, accept the Supreme Lord as a form of meditation and then give up that form to meditate on Brahman or to merge into Brahman. It's not talking about them. Why? Because those people, they don't give up the form of Lord because of disrespect. No, they give up the form of the Lord because of their attachment to the Brahman. They are attracted to the Brahman feature. Like that. So this is interesting explanation that he gives. So he says that their particular attachment is for Brahma, but they don't have any problem with Supreme Lord. They will not say, "Arey, ye to Maya sharir dharan kiya hai. Avajananti mam mudha." Like that, they don't say. So that's why these people are not included here. Who are these? These are the ones who say that Krishna's form is Maya only actually. Krishna's form should be given up. Even though for coming in mode of goodness, we have to do some bhakti so that our mind here, there, sense objects comes to bhakti. We have to meditate on Krishna's form or whatever, Vishnu's form. But you should give it up because it is also Maya. You should give it up. It is also like ladder, like that they say. So such people, he says that they will also actually fall and they will continue to rotate in the cycle of birth and death. So finally he brings up the discussion from Dharmam to Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. This is based on Jiva Goswami's commentary. He has quoted this in Bhakti Sandarbha as well as in Krama Sandarbha. So he says that's why these principles of the religion, system of religion, is not such a simple thing. You see, that's why there might be great people, these Gyanis and all might be very intellectual, but still Mahajanas are not these people only. Mahajanas are these 12 only, like that. That's how the discussion is coming in. Why discussion is coming in? There are Mahajanas in the Gyani world, but those are not accepted as Mahajanas in real sense. The real Mahajanas are those who know the system of bhakti, those who understand the principle of bhakti. They are Mahajanas. Otherwise, these great Gyanis also, later after some verses only in that same section, Yamaraj calls these Gyanis as Mahajana. If you see, it comes there in that same section. First he calls these 12 personalities as Mahajana, and then he calls Gyanis as Mahajana. But that second Gyani is being called as Mahajana is in the sense that Actually, they might be very intellectual. They might be extremely qualified in tapasya and all that. But if they don't have the sense of bhakti, if they don't have any regard for Supreme Lord, then such people, they cannot be accepted as real Mahajanas, and they cannot be accepted as propounder of religions. So that's why Prabhupada is quoting all these verses. Okay, Dharmam tu Sakshad and Swayambhu and all this. So religion, see, you see the last verse in this series, Dvadeshaite vijanimo dharmam bhagavatam bhata guhyam vishuddham durbodham yam jnatva amritam ashnute. Srila Jiva Goswami says that even these 12 Mahajanas, it is said Vijanimah, they only know very nicely. They are also not like very, what you can say, very exuberant in sharing the Krishna conscious knowledge with anybody and everybody if that person is unqualified also or like that. Meaning what he is trying to say, knowledge of bhakti is actually very durbodha, it is very guhya. It is not so easy to understand. It is not so easy to accept and understand. It is guhyam, it is durbodham. So that's why these personalities also, it is said that they also preach with a discrimination. They also preach with a discrimination, like that kind of meaning he gives in Bhakti Sandarbha. So point here is not to any way, what you can say, disparage preaching, belittle preaching. No, that's the most compassionate activity that we can do. But the point here is something else. The emphasis is this, that this knowledge is guhyam. It is not a simple thing. Actually, great personalities also, to understand this knowledge and to make sure that the person is understanding it rightly, it is guhyam. It has to be taught by very qualified people in that way, in that sense, like that. So that's why Prabhupada is saying the principles of religion are not open to any ordinary living entity. A human being must be brought onto the platform of morality, like that. See, the compassion aspect of Lord Chaitanya and compassion aspect that is given by our acharyas, that is perfect, that is at its place. But we are talking about another aspect of how this knowledge is very guhya, and it is rare, it is not understood very easily by people. That's why it is important that even great jnanis and even great learned people, we see that they don't understand the principles of bhakti clearly. They misunderstand the Supreme Lord. It is only mercy of Prabhupada and mercy of acharyas, mercy of Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya, that we have got this knowledge, and we might feel, oh, it is also simple. Why it is complicated or like that? No, but people study Vedas, people try to understand, and it's so difficult. Sometimes even jnanis miss the point that way. But it is simple when you take shelter of bona fide acharyas, sampradaya and all that. Then it is simple. So that is the guhyata, guhyam. Actual religion is very confidential. That guhyata is you have to approach in a right way. If you approach with humility, a proper sampradaya, then you will understand nicely. Otherwise, it's very difficult like that. Okay, so finally Prabhupada says in last para, a person in ignorance of the principles of religion, who therefore does nothing in the matter of religion, is far better than a person who misguides others in the name of religion, without reference to factual religious principles of devotional service. So this is that point of Mahajana. Yamaraj says that somebody might be a Mahajan in terms of his mental power, his intellectual power. But then if he has not understood bhakti, he is anadrita, if he is a misunderstood Lord and is disrespectful towards Lord, then actually better person is one who may not understand anything and is not posing like a leader. At least there is some hope of him taking the bhakti. But somebody like that, he has a whole system by which he has distanced himself from Krishna, like that. So such so-called leaders of religion are sure to be condemned by Brahma and other great authorities, no matter even if they are very great or something like that. So that is the point that Brahmaji is speaking over here. Okay, so fine. I was hoping to cover 5 more verses, but then yeah, I probably took much more time than what I expected. Okay, I will stop here and take if any questions are there. In tomorrow's verses, I will try to cover at least 10 verses because after 14th there is not much commentary, so it will be. But 10, 11, and 12 are heavily commented, so I would take these verses in detail and try to give a sense of why Prabhupada brings up a certain discussion in these particular places like that. But then after 14th, it might be faster. Okay, let's see, hopefully. If something from this section remains, next unit I am only going to take, so I'll push it to the next unit and try to cover it there. Of course, next unit itself has many chapters also. So if we have to do some replanning or like that, I will check with Vamshodhan Prabhu and do that. So in case any of you are getting scared with the speed that I am taking with, so you don't worry. We will try to take appropriate time, appropriate sections and finish it that way. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna. So
Yes,
yesterday
Prabhu.
in the beginning you mentioned about every sloka, padached, padarthokti, vakya yojana, vigraha.
Yeah.
So where is the reference for that?
Yeah. Okay. This reference is Parashar Upapuran. That's the reference. Parashar Upapuran. There are 18 Upapuranas. Okay. Just as there are Mahapuranas, there are 18 Upapuranas. So Nrsimha Puran is an Upapuran. Similarly, Parashar Upapuran. So Parashar Upapuran gives the 5 characteristics of a Vyakhyana. Vyakhyanam Panchalakshanam. So that's what I quoted to you. Padacheda Padarthokti Vigraho Vakya Yojana Akshepasya Samadhanam Vyakhyanam Panchalakshanam. This is how a discourse should be. This is how a Vyakhyana, a commentary should be, where you have these 5 aspects: Padached, Padarthokti, Vigraha, Vakya Yojana, Akshepasya Samadhanam. Right. Okay, so that's the reference. Yes, any other question? There is a question. As you said that even impersonalists cannot attain Brahman if they are offending the form of the Lord. Thus, what understanding do they need to have about Krishna's form to attain their destination Brahman? Yeah, so they should have, see, Krishna or Vishnu, whatever. But the Lord's form, which is Satchidananda, they should accept it as Satchidananda. Okay, that is the point. They shouldn't accept it as Asat Achit Niranand, which is made up of Maya. If that kind of understanding is there, then they won't be able to achieve Brahman also. So they may not know much about the form. They may not know about it. In the sense, its whole Tat Padartha Jnana. There is Tat Padartha Jnana, Nama Rupa Guna Leela of Krishna. So that aspect they may not know, but this understanding should be clear in their minds that these forms of the Lord are not mundane forms. So that is the point. Then they are able to achieve Brahman. I mean, with all other factors, of course, that they are able to meditate on it and get rid of all attachments and all those other factors by their path. They have to perfect their path naturally. But the aspect of not considering Krishna as some mundane personality has to be there. Otherwise, they can't achieve Brahman also.
Prabhuji, do they accept it to be transcendental? Do they accept Krishna's form to be transcendental?
Who? Brahmavadis?
Yes, Prabhuji, the same impersonalist?
Yeah, they accept Krishna's form to be transcendental. They have to accept, I mean, anybody who is a Brahmavadi. Like you see the example of Kumaras, right? They are not going to say that, or even Shukadev, he didn't consider Lord's form to be Maya, right? Although he was merged in Brahmavadi already, transcendental, self-realized. Of course, one may say these are the examples. Shukadev is Radharani's parrot, but whatever. Point is, he is demonstrating a life of a Brahmavadi, right? So if he is demonstrating life of a Brahmavadi, he didn't see Krishna. In fact, he was the one who said in the womb that if Krishna promises that I come out, I will be protected from Maya, then I am ready to come out of my mother's womb. So naturally he's showing that Krishna can promise him that he will not be affected by Maya. So he accepts Krishna's form as naturally as Mayadhisha, naturally as one who is transcendental, that way, beyond Maya. So that is the characteristic of Brahmavadis. They don't consider Krishna's form as Maya. Okay.
Can they worship Krishna's form, Prabhuji, to attain Brahman?
They can worship, but they will worship it only in sadhak dasha. What they do is sadhak dasha, meaning as a sadhaka they worship Krishna's form. They have to, be in goodness, come in sattva guna. So what's the best worship? So worship the worship which is recommended for those in mode of sattva guna. So they want to worship the Supreme Lord for that purpose, to develop sattva guna that way. They know that this Lord is transcendental, but then the point is their attraction is for Brahma, that Nirakar aspect only, that way. So that's why after sadhak dasha, Jiva Goswami says that they leave that particular form, worshipping that particular form once they achieve, freedom from all attachment and all that. But that is not with disrespect. That is his fine point that he is making. That is not with disrespect. It's the point of their abhinivesh is in something else. That is the point. But Mayavadi ka kaisa rehta hai? He disrespect thinking that this is Maya. Ye to asat achit niranand hai. That is his problem.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, it was mentioned here like Prabhupada's purport, a person in ignorance of the principles of religion, who therefore does nothing in the matter of religion, is far better than a person who misguides others in the name of religion, without reference to the factual principles of devotional service. Right, so here like sometimes we hear also this, that out of the two, which is better, the atheist, materialistic atheist is better, or a Vedic atheist is better. In that sense also we hear. So then it is generally said it is better, like Vedic atheist is better, right? And also it talks about those leaders of religion, like without reference to the religious principles. So now there are again different categories, like there may be Jnanis or Mayavadis, and there may be peoples in today's scenario of different other religion. They may not be talking about the form of the Lord. So can you define what is the hierarchy in this sense, like which is better than, like if you see that?
Oh, you see, things are talked from a perspective usually. You speak from a certain perspective. So the point of this verse is that those who are disrespectful towards the Lord, it's better that somebody is not knowing about the Lord. But if somebody is disrespectful towards the Lord, doesn't understand the principles clearly, especially with that aspect of he misunderstands the Lord and he wants to propagate it also. So such a person is more dangerous actually than somebody who is just plainly ignorant. So the point here is that the misunderstanding about the Lord, that disrespectful attitude, that is the problem. If there is a Brahmavadi and if there is an ignorant person, obviously Brahmavadi is greater. There is no doubt about it. If there is a Brahmavadi and Karmakandi, obviously Brahmavadi is greater. There is no doubt about it. If you compare from that particular aspect, like that. But if you consider a Mayavadi, and if you say an ignorant person, who is better? Like that. So actually Mayavadi is more deadly. Mayavadi is in a precarious condition because this person is Krishna Paradhi and Narak Bhag bhi, he might become a resident of hell. He will be punished severely for that particular thing. Although he may do the other aspects like meditation and all that. So in that case, ignorance person is better situated, isn't it? In that manner. So you have to take that fine aspect of that disrespect. Now, if you take the Vedic school and then the other religions, other schools, so naturally somebody is there in the Vedic school. So the access in terms of, the gradual ladder, karma, jnana, bhakti, that access is when somebody is in the Vedic school. Let it be even in Karmakand stage or something like that. But the system is there, the knowledge is there. Whatever activities he is involved into, he is going to hear some glory of Vishnu and all. So there is good scope of that person understanding the further stages of that ladder. But if you compare that person with somebody who is not in the Vedic school at all, so that person is distantly situated in that terms of, from Krishna, because he is away from even the ladder aspect. But now in that particular situation, if somebody is highly enlightened and he has personal feelings towards Supreme Lord and all that, so that is a favorable situation, agreed. But still, somebody who is in the Vedic school, Vedic path aspect, his opportunity to come to the right conclusion is always said to be higher. And that's how Prabhupada says many times that somebody who has taken admission in the Vedic school, he's still better situated because his scope is there. He can be assured now that he will either gradually rise or by Bhakta's intervention, he may rise very quickly in that particular manner. While not being in a Vedic school, that kind of opportunity may just not come at all. Of course, what happens to these personalities if they achieve perfection in their own religion, and Prabhupada at one place says they are guided by the messiahs, whatever those personalities over there for the further development. So, but we don't know about it because that is a which is not spoken in our acharya lines and all that. So that's how we can see, Prabhu. So in terms of accessibility towards the highest goal, connection with a Vedic school, even if somebody is at the rung of karma, kand, that is glorified from that particular aspect. But when we are glorifying from other traditions, some great consciousness of sages, of some great personalities, we do appreciate that particular thing, that yes, they are quite evolved in their consciousness, and say like some saints from the Western tradition also, and all that. So that is how I understand.
Prabhuji, in this regard, like I wanted to know, like what is the opinion of our acharyas, previous acharyas especially, because all these Abrahamic religions were also existing that time. So what do they talk about them?
Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur only has commented. Not many have commented. I mean, before Bhaktivinoda Thakur, at least on the aspect of their destination and all that, what happens to them post destination or like that, nobody has commented in that manner. Of course, we know Lord Chaitanya is analyzing Islam a little bit in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and those statements are well known to all of us, like that. But especially from the aspect of post-mortem, what is their journey after death, how do they progress and all that, I haven't come across even in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's books. Maybe it's there, probably I have not read, but I have heard about his analysis of their process of, the personalism that they talk about, the monotheism that they talk about, and he appreciates some of that monotheistic aspects and all that. But then he also evaluates and shows some sort of misunderstanding in their path and all. But especially about how do they progress in their path, I haven't come across, Prabhu. Maybe I can check. Jaiva Dharma, he is raising these issues in books like Jaiva Dharma and Krishna Samhita. So if it is there, maybe it is there in these books somewhere. Right. Okay.
Yes, well, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Murli Mukund, bro. Yeah.
Yes, bro. So I just wanted to ask with respect to this Ye Anni Arvindaksha Vimukta Maninas, this shloka is there, na? In this, that Aruhya Krichena Param Padam Tada. So, what is that Param Padam? Actually, do they achieve, or it's like, no, that what they are considering as superiority, where do they glide from? When we say that they glide back to the middle.
Yeah, Parampadam. You see, Parampadam is translated by all the acharyas, primarily Gaudiya acharyas, as Jivan Mukti. within the same body, they come to the level of Jivan Mukta. They come to the level where they are free from all attachment. But they have not got free from the material body yet. Because material body, one has to stay in that till that amount of. They haven't achieved that thing, but they are free from all attachment. All contamination is gone completely. That is called Jivan Mukta Dasha. And that's what is Parampadam as per Jiva Goswami, as per Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, as per Srinath Chakravarti, all of them. Prabhupada gives a specific meaning to Parampadam actually. He gives a meaning of they achieve Videha Mukti. They achieve Brahman in the Brahman in the Brahmajyoti. They actually go to Brahmajyoti. And from there also they glide down. Like that. This is Prabhupada's unique meaning of that particular verse that he has given. So if you take Prabhupada's meaning very clearly, Prabhupada says even from Brahma Prapti, Videha Mukti, they glide down from that position, that way. And if you take Jiva Goswami's opinion, so then he says from the Jivan Mukta stage, they glide down like that. Because at other places you also find this reference that usually nobody will fall from Videha Mukti. That is not an idea which is spoken by many of the acharyas. But Prabhupada is saying it, so we accept it. So Prabhupada says that thing, that even somebody may have gone to Brahmajyoti because it is impermanent. Prabhupada gives very nice logic also, because it is impermanent feature, in the sense one is not still situated in constitution. So one may stay there for a long time, and then one may again fall back from that particular stage, that way, So it is that is the, if you see exact Parampadam meaning, one is Jivan Mukta Dasha and another is practically merging in Brahman with Videha Mukti, like that. So in both cases, if they have the attitude towards Krishna, which is offensive, so as per Prabhupada, they may achieve Brahman also, but they will fall. And as per Jiva Goswami, they can't achieve Videha Mukti also. They are like, they will just fall. From Jivan Mukta state itself, they will fall. This way. So that is the meaning.
So Prabhuji, it may be for the demons, Prabhuji. Like the demons, because they don't believe in Krishna's form, but because they're killed by Krishna, so they may go to Brahman, but again they may fall down.
No, but the verse is not talking like that. No, it's not specifying that I am talking only for demons like that.
No, like I'm specifically talking about only demon may go to Brahman because they are killed by Krishna, but because they also don't believe in Krishna's form.
Demons killed by Krishna, they achieving Brahmajyoti is just a temporary state, I mean, they like, which is the demon? You tell me some demon which achieved Brahmajyoti after killed by Krishna. Shishupal?
He entered into body of Krishna.
So that's what Brahma means. It can be with both Brahma, no? It can be Sharir Brahma or it can be.
There is a general statement that any demon killed by the Lord.
Yeah, so I'm saying that only when somebody is killed by the Lord, even if they enter into Brahman, that is not for permanent. After that, after some time, they get another mukti like Salokya, Samipya and all that. That's what happens to them.
Or they may fall down again also.
Oh, that is there, no? Why not? But when you talk about Yene Ravindaksha verse, the verse is talking about the people who have disrespect towards Lord, not demons per se. Demons could be included, but there are many others. Jnanis, that verse is talking about Jnanis. It's not talking about demons.
Yeah, I'm just Prabhupada purport actually, because he told it maybe they may even go up to Brahman. So may means some of them probably.
Correct. So my point is this only, that as far as Prabhupada is concerned, Prabhupada has given this meaning that these jnanis, even though they may achieve Brahman, even from that platform they can fall back. That is possible. So that is how, and we accept that because that is Prabhupada's statement. Prabhupada is saying that as an authority. So sometimes Samanvay may be difficult. Two different opinions are there and bona fide acharyas have given, so we accept. Or somebody is very enlightened person, then he will be able to do some Samanvaya. So at least with my limited understanding, I know whose opinion is what, and this is how Parampadam is translated. So within that Param, I mean within the whole case, demons could be included, fine, but that is just a subset. We should talk about the superset. We should talk about it as a full thing. So with that, those are the opinions of Acharyas and Prabhupada. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying. Just I want to clarify it a little more. In terms of now coming to Brahmavadis, as we know, the soul is nahi kaschit kshanavapi jatu tishtati karmakrit, as in Bhagavad Gita, that even a soul, by its constitutional nature, it cannot live without it. So, is that the Brahmavadis, they are continuing to stay there because they are attracted to the Brahman aspect? So, do they continue like that and just stay eternally there, or is there anything for them falling down or going ahead?
Yeah, actually, both kinds of statements are there in Shastras, that practically these Brahmavadis, they stay there because of their attachment to Brahman. They merge, and that's why Prabhupada calls it that spiritual suicide also, right? In terms of, I mean, that's it. Then they achieve the Brahman and they stay in the Brahman. But there are statements in Brihad Bhagavatamrita and some other places that actually there are devotees of Lord who even preach in such realms where the souls are suspended within Brahma Jyoti. So there are some compassionate souls like Shiva and Narada who preach even in such realms, and they deliver those who are suspended in Brahma Jyoti in that manner, like that. So although, I mean, both kinds of statements are there. If they stay, see, naturally, Jiva's constitutional position is where the Jiva should be engaged in Lord's service. But that point or the time of duration which Sayujya Mukti can give to them is practically spoken like perpetual in Shastra. They achieved it, and then that's like permanent state. And on the other hand, you also hear that yes, actually some of those people, they by mercy of devotees, they give up that and they develop attraction towards Supreme Lord and then join the Supreme Lord in spiritual world. So sometimes on these aspects, statements are not like, very crystal clear. Somebody is giving a very crystal clear analysis of whatever little bit of commentaries I have read and all. Sometimes on these topics, I tried to search from multiple aspects, but so you may know sometimes opinions, but a concrete thing like a Brahmavadi's destination, what happens once he achieves Sayujya Mukti, does every one of them stay there or do some of them fall? So you may get some indicatory statements in this manner only, but otherwise there are statements like even that once somebody achieves Sayujya Mukti, he is there in that Brahman realization. Permanently he is there. Even such statements are there in Shastra like that. But we do understand that because it is not a natural situation. So naturally, it's Prabhupada at least says very clearly that it's not a permanent state, and that's how they fall. They fall back. That's how Prabhupada says.
Yes, true. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, regarding the pure devotees, like say for example, in the current situation that I am actually seeing, with the COVID case and everything, we have many pure devotees also, other than sannyasis. Like we have lost many, prominent preachers and devotees who are really dedicated to the movement. So somewhere in Krishna book, my younger sister was telling me yesterday that these souls in 29th chapter of the Krishna book, there it is said that these souls actually participate in the Lord's Leela in some other universe. Like Krishna Leela is going on in different universes apart from this universe.
Fine.
So I wanted to ask is that my question is that means what is her understanding? Is it correct? Because in the Krishna book it was written that souls from this particular earth will be actually participating in Krishna Leela of some other universe.
Okay, so this is said by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay. This is a statement by Vishwanath Chakravarti where he says that once somebody becomes a pure devotee of Krishna, once somebody achieves the prema, Krishna prema. So before going to the Golok Vrindavan, the transcendental Golok Vrindavan, one is Krishna Leela where Krishna is doing Leela in some particular universe, some planet. So he goes and takes his appearance there, and there he serves Krishna, sort of, prepares him how to serve him in the spiritual world. And then after that, he achieves Golok Vrindavan. So in 10th canto, somewhere he makes the statement. I can find that reference. It's spoken by Vishwanath Chakravarti. He says that. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, that is right. But that is for pure devotees. Okay. Those who have achieved Krishna Prem, those personalities like that, they are able to, for those who are not pure, they will continue their journey. They are Athva Yoginam Kule Bhavati Dhimatam. They are the second category as spoken by Krishna in 6th chapter, right? These are the Bhakti Yogis who have practiced a long, long time, and maybe they couldn't perfect because of some reason. So, but then they Yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam. Krishna says they will take birth in the devotee families and they will continue their life onwards from wherever they have left. This way. Those who have practiced little is the first category. Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Vijayate. That is for those who have done little practice. They haven't gone much ahead in bhakti. So they may take birth in some Brahman families, Shuchinam, or aristocratic families, Srimatam. But the second category is of very devotees who have made tremendous progress, but still some contamination is left. That.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So here is one comment that one devotee has forwarded. Yes, that Srimad Bhagavatam says in Canto 2nd also that liberated person stays in Brahman forever. So yeah, there are comments. I did say also that I do have references where it is said that it's a permanent thing that happens to them. But on the other hand, this is also there that sometimes they are delivered by personalities like Narad Muni, and then they develop from there. They develop the attachment for Lord's lotus feet. So that's how it is there. Whatever they Sayuja Mukti is like such a long time that they are in Brahman is practically considered like spiritual suicide. Prabhupada, that's why he gave that term. Okay. So, okay, fine. So I think we should stop here. It's done for today. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Please forgive me if anything was I said you didn't like or it was inappropriate. Hare Krishna. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.